Right.
Man, let's just get into it. I don't know why
Yeah.
listen, God's going to lead this.
You're
I don't know
good.
why I'm trying to do
He
this.
is.
Let's just pray this in. We try
Yeah. I'll
we
pray us
try
in
to
real
take
quick.
care of these things, and it's not us, man. It's the Holy Spirit. So just lead us
It is.
in a prayer, man.
Yeah, man. Dear God, we just want to thank you for this great day. I want to thank you for Helton. I want to ask that you just bless this time, bless this podcast. God, I ask that it just reach the hearts that it needs to reach, knowing that me and Helton have no power in what we do. We don't change hearts, but you do, God. We're excited to see what you do. We're excited to talk about you, and just, God, just help our brothers out. We pray that this just be a fruitful conversation. We know it will be, and we pray that all the honor and glory goes to you, God. Just let us speak your words, not our own. Keep our own preferences and opinions out of this, and just truly seek you, Lord, and praise your name. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Awesome, dude.
Sweet.
Man, I'm so pumped right now. I'm so excited for you.
It's going to be awesome.
Dude.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, so this is going to be another episode of The Dad Shift. So welcome, Helton. If you don't know who Helton is, he's the author of The First Things First. Ooh, almost messed that up. That'd be a good start. So he's a husband, father, and firefighter. But most importantly, I think you would agree that you're a follower of Jesus, which is awesome. If you haven't read the book, I would encourage you to grab it. You can get it. Would you recommend Amazon, or is that just kind of anywhere?
Yeah, Amazon is where it's the easiest place you can get it. And just look up Helton Pereira, First Things First, and hopefully it'll show up.
Yeah, 2 days, man. Sometimes even one. We're up north of Houston, so sometimes we'll get it the next day. It's kind of crazy. So, but yeah, welcome to the show, man. So for those that aren't familiar with you, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Tanner, thanks for having me. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, share a little bit about my story, what the First Things First is all about. But as you already said, man, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a firefighter, but most importantly, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And man, without him, I wouldn't have anything else, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So born and raised in Brazil, moved here right before high school, joined the fire service. You know, I kind of found the job. Well, actually, the job found me. Really,
Mm-hmm.
was a college student, started volunteering, joined the fire department, and man, it's been the best 17, 18 years of my life. You know, it's really, really exciting, really fun stuff. You know, I simplify it by, you know, saying that I get to run into burning buildings, not as often,
Mm-hmm.
but, you know, run red lights and drive really cool trucks, you know, but man, it's, I love the job, man. I love the brotherhood. I love what it has afforded me. I love what it has afforded my family. It has blessed, you know, me and my family a ton. And I truly believe that it is the best job in the world, man. But besides the fire service, because obviously it's not everything about me. You know, I have a beautiful wife. Her name is Teresa. She gave me 3 amazing children, Ella, Emma, and Eliel. All E's. I didn't plan it at first. It just happened. So my boy is named after my father. My whole family lives here. My father passed away a few years ago, but my mom's still here. My brothers, I have an older sister, younger brother, big family. My wife's family, it's also around here. She's got a big family as well. She's got 3 other siblings. Her mom and dad, her mom is here. Her dad's out in Texas, out your way.
Nice.
But man, we're just surrounded by family. We have an even bigger family at church. We have a big church family, a big fire department family as well.
Mm-hmm.
So family is obviously, as if you haven't caught on the book, it's also a big part of who I am. And man, you know, after a few years of fire service, you know, I obviously learned that fitness is something important. So I now enjoy running. I've always liked, but now I truly enjoy running. I've done a couple of long distance running and working out, feeling healthy. Because after all, man, we got to take care of ourselves so we can take care of others, right? And man, in the fire department, man, I just got back from a conference yesterday. I got to spend a weekend with the guys from Bears of the Oath. If you haven't been to that conference yet, man, you got to check it out. And I was only able to be there for one day because that's all that I could arrange to be off of work and the wife and the kids. So I was able to get out there with one day. So reach out to
Mm-hmm.
Shane Bentley and the guys at Bears with the Oath, man. And it was so good. And I can't wait already to be back next year. So hopefully I'll see you there, see some of your listeners there, get out there. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's
It'd be
such a
awesome.
good conference, so uplifting. And man, I love that. That's one of the things that I love about the fire department is just finding like-minded individuals who are into the job, who love what they do, who love serving others. But one of the things that is different about Bears with the Oath and like another conference like firemanship, it's just being there with guys that love the job, but most importantly,
Mm-hmm.
love the Lord, man. Everybody
Yeah.
there, was excited, pressing in, listening at the edge of their seat, but more importantly, man, to just hear the word of God from a fireman, like
Mm-hmm.
it hits different, like it really brings like brotherhood
Mm-hmm.
into existence. Cause we all talk about iron sharpens iron. And man, I'm not saying like everything that was said over the weekend, it wasn't easy to listen. But when you
Right.
when you have somebody who, as it says in Proverbs, iron sharpens iron. That doesn't mean like, hey, yeah, everything is nice and we're gonna be there alongside you. No, iron sharpens iron for a reason. It's sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
rough. Sparks are gonna fly. But man, it's just so good to just sharpen each other out and stand alongside men and women who are into the job and into the Lord, man. That's
Yeah.
like I said, it's cool. So
Yeah. Well, and it's a little bit different too. I talk about that too a little bit. Like one of the things that got me into podcasting is a guy called Dad Tired, and he has a conference every year for dads. And so 2 or 3 years ago, I went to that, and it's something different when you make it a purpose to go and worship God with other believers. So it's not like our corporate worship, which is awesome, in our churches and stuff. It's like I'm going to take time intentionally to set aside, and yeah, you have to take time away from your family. But I do think that God rewards that, and it's just there's something special about it. And so when you get around a group of people that have sacrificed that time and are more intentional with it, man, it's powerful. It'll change your life. So I'm excited. I didn't even know what it was. I've heard a little bit of it since I've started this and talked with Daniel and the other guys, and so I've just started getting into that realm, and I'm like, man, I got to go. So I'm
yeah,
excited. Hopefully next year I'll be
yeah,
able to.
yeah, man. And so the thing that is cool about conferences, it's a couple things, right? One, it's being alongside like-minded individuals.
Mm-hmm.
It's like conferences are just like youth camp. If you ever been to youth camp, you took a week
Mm-hmm.
away and you're away from everything, and you just got to focus on God and the message that He has for you. And so that's the same thing with fire conferences, right? It's a week
Yeah.
where you get to get away from the hustle and bustle at Firehouse, and obviously you take time away from family, but you're focusing on just that, and
Right.
on fire conferences specifically, it's about your craft. It's the things that
Mm-hmm.
you're honing your skills. You're getting better at pulling hose lines, searches, throwing
Mm-hmm.
ladders, engine company, truck company. And so you get to focus on just that stuff. But man, I think that one of the biggest and more important things too is just it sets you, no pun intended, on fire for what you're doing, right? It
Right.
sets you on fire for the craft, for the thing that you love. But also like specifically with these conferences, I mean, it sets you on fire for God and get you excited for that. And I was actually having a conversation over this weekend with Nate's term, and one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that we were talking about was the Sabbath, right? It's
Yeah.
the rest. And so even though you're going to these conferences to learn how to do work and learn how to new skills, you're also resting. You're resting from
Mm-hmm.
the hustle and bustle of your everyday life. And
Right.
one of the things that we were talking about is Sabbath rest is not, you're not resting from work. You're
Mm-hmm.
resting for work. And
Right.
that's what happened, when Jesus created the world in 7 days, and he rested on the last day, but it wasn't because the work was done. It wasn't that
Right.
like he was done, it is finished. Like, hey, I got more work to do. So I encourage you, man. I encourage everybody that's listening in here, rest. We need to rest. We need to take a Sabbath, but it's not because we're not working because, man, I've done so much work and I'm done. I'm ready to rest. No, you need to rest because, man, we have work to do. Just like
Right.
your podcast says, there's a shift. We need to do a shift. It's the dad shift. Like, we need to be the leaders of our home. We need to be the leaders of our spouses, our kids, our churches, our fire department. There's work
Hmm.
to be done. We are called to do something. God has called us to do something. So you're not resting because, man, I've done everything that I'm done, and everything that I have accomplished is done. No, like, you're resting because there's work to be done, man. So I say all that to say, go to a conference, rest,
Yeah.
relax, enjoy, like, get fired up, because, man, there's so much more to do. And like you said, man, just like you went to that conference, no, you went
Hmm.
there to get reignited, excited, and be fed. And now look at you, man. You got a podcast.
Yeah.
You're doing good things. You're trying to reach out to men out there to make a shift, make a change in their lives, and make bigger impact, and be who they're called to be. So rest for work, man. That's what I have to say
Absolutely,
about
man.
that.
Couldn't have said it better. That's awesome. Well, yeah, I was gonna do some fun questions, I guess, just to kind of break into it, but it's gone pretty simple. But I guess just for the sake of it, what's y'all shift schedule where you work?
Yeah, so I work in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC. We work what's called the Nova schedule, because that's where most of the departments up here are.
Hmm.
They also have some of these schedules. I think it's called a Carlsbad out in California.
Okay.
It's on, off, on, off, on for 24 hours, and then we have 4 days off.
Okay.
So it's a
Yeah.
56-hour work week,
Yeah.
and we're man, it's a good department. We do some cool stuff. It's like suburban slash rural, because it's, as I
Yeah.
said, it's right outside of DC. We have a population, I think, is like 400, actually probably more like 500,000. I don't know if that's an honor or not, but the medic unit that runs out of my firehouse was the second busiest medic unit, call volume wise. So yay for a
Yeah.
busy medic unit.
Right.
um, we're right outside of a marine base, so we get a little bit of that too. Every once in a while, we get to do that. We have some great mutual aid. Um, Man, it's a great department.
That's good, man. So we call, well, I think it's the same. We call it a 9-day around here. That's that schedule is what we call it. But right now we're still on a 24/48. We're one of the only departments I think in our area, but everyone's going 48/96. That seems to be the trend.
Man,
So,
we had the 24/48 years ago. We moved to a 56-hour work week, and we're now
hmm.
working backwards, trying to get to a 50 by next year.
Hmm.
Where that's written in our contract, and hopefully in the future down to a 48, and hopefully even a 42. So
Yeah, we have a Plano up near Dallas. I think they just went a 24/72. So they're adding a whole nother shift. It's wild. So I don't know that we'll get there, but hey,
it's
we'll
the
see
hope.
what
It's the hope.
happens. You're right. Sweet, man. Well, obviously y'all run ambulances here. We're just north of Houston, so we actually have a county run ambulance. But what else y'all got? I mean, how many stations y'all have?
So I think we have about 19 or 20 stations. We have one more
Okay.
being built. The department is about 800 people, so it's a big
Hmm.
department, lots of people. Um, I am now the old guy who introduces himself to people like 2 or 3 times. It's like, hey, nice to meet you. And it's like, man, I've worked with you like last week. Like, I don't know if it's the old age or just the fact that we're growing so much. Lots of new faces. We're hiring like 2, 3
Hmm.
classes a year
Yep.
now. So we do have, I want to say, I think we have 4 ladder trucks,
Okay. Yeah.
and 2 rescues, a bunch of engines, a bunch of medic units and ambulances,
Right.
with the 3 shifts. And we got, we have a big river. We're right on the Potomac River. So we got a water rescue team. We have a big hazmat team, a big tech rescue team. Uh, Man, our department, like I said, man, I'm super spoiled to be in the department that I am, because we have good training, good equipment, good trucks, good firehouses. We do have, a couple of those older firehouses with the character, which I am in
Right.
one of them now. So I get to experience some of that old firehouse feeling.
Yep.
No fire pole like most firehouses nowadays,
Yeah. Right.
but it's still a good firehouse, man. We got good runs. Man,
Yeah.
yesterday was one of those shifts that, like, everything we did was like legit, running
Hmm.
to the hospital a couple of times, and big incidents on the highway. So it made a for interesting and fast day. And the
Yeah.
best part about it is no calls at night. So it was like what we call the perfect
That's
shift,
yeah.
right? We run all day,
Absolutely,
sleep all
man.
night. And so it was
Yep.
beautiful.
Yeah, you can't get much better than that. So before we jump into the book stuff, man, also I just wanted to talk about like tell me a little bit more about your journey on a personal level. So you talked about how you kind of hit one of those times in your career where everything just kind of wasn't syncing up. I want to hear a little bit. I mean, obviously you write about it in the book, but I want to hear about it from your perspective and in your words, even though the book is your words. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, brother. This is one of the reasons why I wrote the book. It was to share a little bit of my journey, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our journeys.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, most people when they go out throughout their career, and I think it's most people today in their career path. I think gone are the days where somebody works for a company for 20, 30, 40 years, right? And
Yeah.
somebody, gets a pension at the end of it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think because of the nature of our career, most of us do the 20 to 25, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
30 years in this career. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's because it's by choice, but other times it's like, man, I don't know what else I could do. And unfortunately, sometimes it's like, man, I am stuck here. I don't want to give up my
Mm-hmm.
pension. I'm halfway through it.
Right.
I have another 10, 15 years to go. And now you're that guy on the back half of your career, that
Right.
has that date in mind that's starting to count down, that is disgruntled. And I found myself kind of like that. I was about 10 to 15 years in. I had I had a great career, man, good assignments, good people, but there were just a few things, not just a few, there were a lot of things that started happening. And it wasn't so much a call. I'm super blessed that I never had anything that triggered PTSD. I didn't have
Right.
a major incident outside of my life that impacted how I was doing in the job, on the job. So it really was the slow drip of the job.
Mm-hmm.
It was the death by a thousand cuts that
Yeah.
just started piling on. The rucksack was filling, and I didn't know how
Mm-hmm.
to deal with carrying that for a long time. And so that, along with a couple things that happened with losing a friend, other friends getting fired, actually losing their
Mm-hmm.
jobs because of substance abuse. There were other friends that were dealing with divorce, and so all these things kind of like started happening around me. Plus, my rucksack is filling up. I don't know how to deal with it, and kind of I was done.
Yeah.
With the fire service, and um, I don't share this with a lot of people, but the book had another title. The book was "F the Fire Service," because
Nice.
because I
Yeah.
was done,
Yeah.
and so the book was "F the Fire Service" because I had to change that perspective,
Yeah.
so faith, family, fitness, and firefighting, hence the
Yeah.
title that I had in mind,
I
because I
like
was
that.
done, man.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be done with it, but when you want to when you're try to portray a good Christian image, that book title doesn't go very well with the persona. So I, put the first things first.
Yeah.
Obviously, is a better title for the book. And man, we find ourselves stuck sometimes, man. 10,
Mm-hmm.
15 years in, and I am again happy to say that at that point in my career, there was no substance abuse, there was no depression,
Yeah.
there was no anxiety, there was no issues in my marriage. There was, thank goodness I had none of that, and it truly was
Right.
because I knew how to put the first things first.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't perfect at it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying like, hey, here's a recipe of everything you need to do to be perfect. No, like
Right.
it was what kept me from going astray, from doing something
Right.
dumb, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term, because that's just what I saw around me.
Absolutely.
And so I
Yeah.
was like, man, thank goodness that I knew how to put up fences. Thank
Mm-hmm.
goodness that I know how to set up boundaries. Thank goodness that I had a wife who knew how to help me to do all those things. Because had it not been there, I probably would have been. I could have been one of those guys that were dealing with, a divorce, or dealing with
Yeah.
an alcohol abuse, or dealing with substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it, man. That was a point in my career that I was done. Like, and I think we all, at some point in our career, man, we hit that. You
Yeah.
know, you don't run to the truck anymore when the bells goes off,
Right.
or you think about calling in sick the day before
Mm-hmm.
when you're going into work, or it's like you have to muster all your strength just to get up and out of bed, to go to work, or you don't like the crew, or you don't like your
Mm-hmm.
assignment, or like whatever it is, like it happens to, I think, all of us.
Yeah.
And bringing it back to the fact that a lot of us feel stuck because, man, I'm already, like, I'm vested in this department,
Right.
or I can't
Exactly.
move, I can't do a lateral transfer, I can't go to another department, I can't go to another state. And so we feel stuck.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like. And I was like, well, I guess this is it for the next 10, 15 years. I'll just
Yeah.
suck it up and go to work. And I just had to change my perspective. I had to, do a shift. And
Yeah.
so it was just relearning, reliving, as we were talking earlier. I can't preach something and not live it out. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to put the first things first in my life, you know, start my day in the right way with God on my side, reading the Bible, listening to worship, being the husband that I'm called to be, being a good husband to her, and a good father to my children, taking
Mm-hmm.
care of myself. And then and then the fire service, it came back to life
Right.
for me. And as I was saying
Absolutely.
earlier, man, I actually, one of the things that I did too, I went out to a couple of conferences, man, and you just lit the fire back on me, to
Yeah.
be excited about the job, to be around people that are excited about the job. Because sometimes we sit at the firehouse kitchen table and we do what firemen do best, complain about change and the way things are, and
Exactly.
so that gets old,
Yeah.
so you have to change your perspective, man. You got to put the first things first, and you will fall in love with the job again. So that's what I
Yeah.
had to do. That was where I was in my career, and I
Mm-hmm.
just try to, spread that word to people, because I think it's important. It sucks to be stuck on that period where you don't love the job and you don't love what you're doing.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I really appreciated that. I mean, I think that's, like you said, I think that's becoming a lot more prevalent, especially just in the generation that firefighting's at right now. It is one of those jobs that most people are stuck in on a investment system, or they have to completely start over. So it's like you said, when you're in that 10 to 15-year range, you're like, what do I do? Like, do I stay here? Do I quit and go somewhere else completely so that I have to work till I'm 80? It's like, so it's kind of a weird thing. Like, we focus so much on getting guys into the fire service, but we don't really talk about that, midlife crisis / retirement stage near as much. And so we need to start having that conversation. And I think you do in your book. I mean, I really appreciate that. So, but yeah, I mean, like I say, that's awesome. I do want to talk about the book. I think we could talk about other stuff all day long, but I want to make sure people know what this book is about, which we'll get to talk about the rest of that anyway. So, you come up with the tenets that I really like. You got faith, family, fitness, and firefighting, and then you have that little bonus at the end with the finances. So how? I mean, you kind of talked about it there, but just a little bit more. Like, how did you come up with those tenets? Why do you think that is what it takes to fall in love with the fire service again?
Yeah. So I'll explain a little bit about what the first things first are. And that
Right.
is giving our best, giving our it comes from giving the first fruits,
Mm-hmm.
back in the olden days, where people would bring their sacrifices to the temple and offer up their sacrifices to God. There's their best. It's the first things that you do, the first part of your day, the first part of
Right.
your money, the first part of your life, and you
Right.
want to you want to give that back to God. And so, I have to do that. And obviously for me, God comes first. I
Mm-hmm.
can't start my day without God. God has given me everything that I have. So I think it would only be fair that I spend 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes praying, reading the Bible, and listening to worship, so I can start my day the right way. And that kind of like sets the tone for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I shared this bit of information with our friend Daniel Alice a while back. It's like a red light, and this is not for me. This came from my pastor, um, Pastor David Barrett. He's since passed, but he shared with us one time that if you do the right things in the beginning of the day, you're gonna keep doing the right things. You have the tendency, obviously, to do
Mm-hmm.
the right things as you go on. So he gave me this illustration of a red light. You know, if you go through a red light just inadvertently, you know, you don't mean
Mm-hmm.
to, like all of a sudden for the rest of the day, you're not just gonna start running red lights. You know, so if you do the right thing and if you stop at the red light, the next red light you're probably gonna stop, and the
Mm-hmm.
next red light you're probably going to stop. So you know that just because you messed up on one thing on the beginning of the day doesn't mean you're going to, well, whatever, this day's over, I'm just going to keep running red lights. You know, like
Yeah.
it's the same thing. So if like it's the morning and all of a sudden you didn't have your quiet time, you're like, ah, this day's off already. You know, I've lost my streak on the Bible app. There's no point in going back again. You know, which
Mm-hmm.
as a matter of fact, I lost my streak yesterday because we're just busy at the
Yeah.
firehouse. So, you know, my streak is gone. And so what am I not going to read the Bible for the next, you know, 15, 20, 35 days because I lost my
Right.
streak? No, man, I'm going to do the right thing. And so this morning I made sure that it was the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I did. I sat down, I read my Bible, I had my cup of coffee, and I started my day the right way. You know, in the
Yeah.
same way, like if for some reason, you know, we have a disagreement, I don't because I'm the perfect husband. I never have
Right.
disagreements
Absolutely.
with my
Never.
wife. So like just because like I yelled at her in the morning for something, what am I going to just yell at her for the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
day? If I yell at my kids or get upset at them, I'm not going to be upset with them for the rest of the every time I encounter them. I'm going to yell at them. No, man,
Mm-hmm.
like stop at the red light. If you inadvertently ran a red light, stop and you know do the right thing. We can't just be
Absolutely.
running red lights throughout the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the day. And so it's kind of like where the first things first also comes from. So put your time with God first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not just time with God. Put everything in God's hand, man. You know, everything that I do, everything that I believe in, I circle around my relationship with God. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because He's blessed me enough, and so I think that when I go to God with my questions, my concerns, everything just works out for the best. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I'm talking about from decisions to money to you know anything, man. And
Yeah.
it's not just about me like following rules. It's about the relationship,
Right.
which I know you want to get into a little bit. And so when I get it right when I get it right here, the up and down,
Mm-hmm.
this works so much better.
Right.
So if I'm good with God, I'm good with my wife, I'm good with my
Mm-hmm.
kids, I'm good with my brother and sister, I'm good with my family, I'm good at the firehouse. So it just sets the tone for everything. And as I already shared, man, I have a big family. I have a big
Yeah.
firehouse family. And so if I'm good, I'm like, have you ever noticed, like, I'll give you like a perfect practical example. If you, for some reason, are upset with your wife, which I know, again, you're perfect. You're probably never upset with her. But
Never.
like, what happens when your 3-year-old or your 11-month-old comes and like tugs at your shirt? Like, isn't it
You get
something
mad
like
at him. Yeah.
natural? You're like ah, and so
Yeah.
like, and so it's just natural. So if you and your wife are not good, you and the kids are not going to be good.
Yeah.
And so again, it just starts there. You know, be good with you and God. It's going to make you treat your wife nice and well and
Mm-hmm.
love her well, and it's going to make you treat your kids well and love them
Right.
well. And dude, and then just like everything else, like now that you're not mad and upset, you're not gonna, you know, like, oh man, I don't feel like going to the gym.
Yeah.
You need to go to the gym. That's the difference between, you know, motivation and discipline. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you're again you're not good with your wife, you're not good with your kids, now you're not working out, do you think you're gonna be able to like go to shift and do your job well? No,
No,
man.
definitely
Like
not. Yeah.
it's like you just, if you keep running red lights, you're gonna crash at some point.
Yeah.
And so to avoid that, you know, if you just happen to run one red light, stop, man. Stop so you don't
Yeah.
crash. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of it. Again, it's what happened, you know, to me. I was just running red lights, and you start running red lights, and eventually that's when you feel the burnout, the run out. That's when
Mm-hmm.
you start going into to you know, pun intended, avenues that you shouldn't be going down in, you
Yeah.
know? And so it's this, just put the first things first, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you're good with your faith, if you're good with your family, if you're good with your fitness, the job of firefighting is so easy, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And finances, oh, why? Because that's usually the last thing you think about, right? You're
Yeah.
like, oh man, like that. Nobody ever thinks about finances. You don't
Right.
think about your retirement probably until like 5 to 3 years. You're like, man, I should probably
Right.
check my investments. That's too
Yep.
late, like,
Yeah.
and I learned that the hard way. Not that I'm anywhere close to retirement, but
Right.
I didn't know, like, I was a young kid joining the fire
Yeah.
service. I didn't know what 401k 457 was.
Yeah.
So like when they told me to sign up for that stuff, they're like, oh, you just put this money in this account. I was like, no, I want this money on my account. I don't know
Yeah.
whose account is that. And so
Exactly.
like for the first probably like 5 years, man, I had zero going into those accounts. So I had no idea, and that's just
Yep.
one part of the problem, like I was the kid that was like, oh, hang on, like my money's in my savings and I got to move some money. And so like there were a couple times that as a young married couple, my wife's like, hey, did you remember to pay the electric bill? Because there's a truck outside and the
Yep.
guy's walking to my door. It was just always an afterthought. Um, and so I had to put on the book because it really is,
Yeah.
it's the less F we have to give
Hmm.
about things, again, I had all these planned out. So it's because we don't think about it, man.
Right.
All we know
Yeah.
how to do is, man, is like, hey, I go to work, there's money in the bank account and the credit card is still swiping. And
Yeah.
dude, if you live like that, I'll be honest, I'm living the consequences of that life right
Yeah.
now. I was never perfect. And so, um, if you put the right things in the right order,
Hmm.
quite literally with your money, you're not gonna, man, finances is something that stresses people out so much.
Yeah.
And because it is the last thing we think about, it's usually the first
Hmm.
things we fight about.
Right.
Right. And so when the money's tight, that's stress. And now you're working more overtime to try to pay down the debt that you acquired. And because you're working more, you're not spending time with your wife, you're not spending time with your kids. And now you're not seeing each other. And now you're getting burned out
Hmm.
because all you do is work. But you want time off, but you can't have time off because you got bills. And so it's just
Yeah.
this crazy cycle that we go
Yeah.
on. And so just if you're there's an end to it. There's going to
Yeah.
be an end to it. Just stick with whatever plan that you come up with. If, man, just like marriage, if you need help, like, go to a financial planner, sit
Right.
down with somebody who's like,
Hmm.
who do you see like that is good with money? I'm not talking about who has the newest car, the biggest truck,
Right.
the nicest boat. Like, go talk to the person who is good with money, who knows about their investments, how to pay bills, man. If you need to go call up Dave Ramsey and go through
Yeah.
the debt snowball, like, do that, the
Absolutely.
envelope system, whatever
Yep.
it is that you need to do to get your finances in order. Um, you know, just like Dave Ramsey says, you got to live like no one else to live like no one else.
Hmm.
And just like you have to live the skinny years to be able to, like, have the fat years later
Yeah.
down the road. So
Absolutely, man.
finance is super important, man. It's the last thing in the book, but it's probably just as important all the other four.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I like to, just before you jumped into that, just kind of intro of the book. One of the things that stuck out to me, but do not keep thinking about the other people who should be reading this. Invest in yourself first, because you can't share wisdom that you don't have. So to me, that kind of correlated with the scripture from Matthew 7:3-5. It says, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye,' when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." So it's it's one of those, we often like to try to fix other people before we fix ourselves. And I just thought that was a good disclaimer. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're blind to what we're living
Hmm.
through or what we're living in, man. And it's so much easier to be like, man, Tanner really needs to hear this because Tanner's not doing A, B, C, and D. And if
Absolutely.
Tanner was, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna buy Tanner this book because he needs to listen to it and he needs
Yeah.
to read it and hear the advices. Meanwhile, I'm living the same way, if not worse, you
Hmm.
know. And so I just wanted to, like, put that disclaimer out there because
Yeah.
it's hard, man. Again, going back to iron sharpens iron. That's why I
Hmm.
believe it's very important for us to have what I call the corner man, and I talk about that in the book.
Yeah.
You need to have brothers for the time of adversity. You need
Hmm.
to have somebody on your side that encourages you and say, "Hey, man, good job. You're doing well. You're going down a good path." But you also need somebody who'll be like, "Hey, you're messing up. You're falling short. Hey, you need to fix this. This is something that you need to do." And so we just need to have those accountabilities around this.
Right.
We talk a lot about mentorship in the fire service. Man,
Hmm.
you need to find a mentor that shows you, that does this and does that. Yeah, but is that mentor going to call you out?
Right.
You don't need people that just says niceties to you all the time. If you want that, just go to an ice cream parlor. Like
Yeah.
everybody says, if you want to make everybody happy, go sell ice cream. In the same way, if you
Yep.
want to feel happy about yourself, man, just go down to the ice cream shop, and everyone's like, yeah, man, that's good. It's a great flavor. Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so we are just too quick to say, hey, this person needs this person needs that. And I wanted to put that up front and say, hey, listen, you're gonna and anything and everything that I wrote in this book, it was not like I said already, I'm not perfect. I don't have everything right. I'm
Hmm.
not doing everything right. But everything that is in that book, I lived through it. Everything
Hmm.
that's in that book was something that I was getting wrong. So
Yeah.
I didn't write it saying, hey, messed up person, hey, screw up, you need to
Yeah.
fix this. But it was like I lived through it. It was a lot of a self reflection. The book
Hmm.
kind of started as a diary, as a therapy for me to like write things down.
Right.
But it was because I know that I'm not the only person dealing with this. I know that
Yeah.
other guys, other girls are going to deal with some of these struggles. So it was a self reflection of, hey, don't be pointing fingers. Like,
Yeah.
you probably need this more than somebody who you think needs this.
Yeah.
So it was just something that I wanted to point out, because we're too quick to point the fingers at other people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a great way to start out. I mean, the book reads awesome too, and that's one of the things I really appreciated. Like, even before talking with you personally, just going through the book, one of the things I can tell, it's not one of those, like, the self-help books are always like, do what I did because I've got it figured out. And your book was not like that. Like, it's like, hey, don't follow me, follow Jesus first of all, and then here's some tips. It's not a I have it all figured out, and I think that speaks volumes, and I think people can relate to that. So I really appreciated that aspect of it.
Yeah, man, that was my goal, to just, as you say, point people to Jesus, point people to what He obviously teaches us that does it right. And I think I also try to do it in a way that it's not just Bible thumping
Right.
people, because I don't think that that's a way to go about things. I was very, I just wanted to be true and raw, and also,
Yeah.
man, I'm not a writer. I'm just
Yeah.
a fireman who happened to take some time to write some words down, and so I try to write it in a way that was relatable. It was
Hmm.
just raw.
Hmm.
It was a lot of my, there was a lot of emotions on there,
Yeah.
because that's just who I am. I'm an emotional guy. If you've never seen me cry, trust me, I'm a crybaby. Just I wear
Yeah.
my heart as my sleeves.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share really what was on my heart and the things that I went through. So if it can help, as you say sometimes, if it can help one person, and I think I
Yeah.
have done my job, and it was all worth to be able to share
Yeah.
my experiences through it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you talk about faith, you put that first in the book, but I do think you do a really good job with that. I mean, obviously, me and you have similar beliefs on the faith aspect of, like, we believe in God, and but I think you do a really good job of just making sure that people are getting it right, not necessarily like this is how you have to do it. I mean, I don't know. It sounds kind of weird. Like, you definitely encourage it, and you have those tones, but it's one of those two. I don't want people to not read the book because they think it's going to be the Bible thumping, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because I think you do a really good job with that. Obviously, it's there, but it's not one of those beat you over the head and make you feel guilty. It's not the hellfire and brimstone. It's really good. I mean, it really is. And I think that you intentionally put the faith first. I mean, I think I know why, but why do you think faith is most important?
Well, it's what I cover on the very beginning of the book. It's about relationship and not religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you need to follow a set of rules. I'm not saying that you need to dress a certain way, speak a certain way. I mean, I open up the book about sharing an experience when I was dropping f bombs in a firehouse, and then people looked
Yeah.
at me like, "Hey, aren't you the Christian guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm the Christian guy who's dropping f bombs." And
Yeah.
like, we're broken, man. We're fallen. We fall short of God's perfect image every day,
Mm-hmm.
multiple times a day. So I just wanted people to know it's about a relationship. And just again,
Right.
just like in the fire service, man, I truly believe that the key for us to finding success in the fire service is relationship. And
Right.
so if the fire service is all about relationship, Faith is all about relationship. God
Mm.
doesn't want you to follow a set of rules. God doesn't want you to
Right.
do everything right. God just wants you to have a relationship with Him.
Right.
We are created beings. God didn't need to create anything. He chose to create, the earth. He chose to create human beings. He chose us to have relationships with Him, and so that's all about. He wants, Sometime people are like, well, what do I have to do to be able to get into heaven? You just have to want to have a relationship with Him,
Hmm.
just like your wife. You're not saying to your wife, hey, make sure you do A, B, C, and D, and that way I'm going to love you. No, like you
Right.
you have a relationship with her. You are nice to her and she's nice to you, and you do things that she likes, and she does things that you like, because you love one another, because you
Absolutely.
want to be relating to one another, and be
Hmm.
together, spend time together. And again, that's all God wants from you, man. It's wants you to spend time with Him, wants to be intentional with what you do.
Yeah.
The only condition is that you recognize that, and what you're recognizing is that Jesus is my Lord and Savior.
Hmm.
He died on the cross for me, and you don't have to, like, that's it. Like, that's what grace
Hmm.
is all about. You just have to
Absolutely.
believe and obey. Like, you don't have to go to Sunday, 52 weekends out of the year. Like,
Yeah.
it would be nice, like, so it would be like saying, like, yeah, I love my wife and we're married, but like we don't spend time together. Like, what
Yeah.
kind of relationship is that? Like, do you not
Hmm.
do the things that your wife likes just because, like, oh, she loves me anyways, we're married, so I don't have to do anything that she wants me to do? Okay, it's not going to be a very fun marriage. You're still going to be
Yeah.
married. So yes, there are certain things that we have to do, certain things that we have to follow, but God just wants a relationship with you. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
You're going to have to try, because obviously God, Jesus, is perfect. So
Yeah.
we are the ones we're not trying to earn God's love. We're just trying to be what He has called us to be.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, I think one of the important aspects too, for obviously the show we talk mostly about like with believers and for believers, but for those that aren't, like, even if they're not a Christian, you're still believing in something, you still follow something, you still worship something. So I think something you put there in your book is like talking about, we have faith in something, and it's really, you just got to figure out what that is and make it a priority. Obviously, like I said, we have our preference, but your book doesn't beat it over the head. So it's one of those things, like, first of all, just be intentional with it, because you're worshiping something, and for a lot of people that's money or status or things like that, and that's going to dictate everything. I mean, that's what your drive is most of the time if you're not a Christian. Like I said, so if it's status, it's going to be, until I get that promotion, or until I get that pay stub that says this amount, or whatever it is, like, that's going to be your pursuit. And so, even if you're not a Christian and you read this book, you're still going to get those aspects. You're going to be like, all right, well, maybe I need to set those priorities in a different matter, which I thought was great. And like I said, obviously we believe that Christ is the way, but I don't want to discourage people that aren't believers to not read it. I think it's a great practical book. So.
Thanks, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. So I also like that. I had a quote in there. I didn't actually write it on our notes, but it was talking about, like, our primary identity. You put that my primary identity is in Christ, even though I'm a firefighter, and I messed that up a little bit, but God made me to be a firefighter. So shouldn't that be my primary ID? That's kind of a
Yeah, it's we as firefighters tend to put that identity first. So you made me think of something like Jim Carrey. One time he was hosting an award show, and he said, like, I'm Jim Carrey. I'm like the two-time award-winning actor for this, and so he was putting that, like, I'm this two-time award winner, but not yet, because I'm gonna have the third. So, like, he was putting his identity in who he was and the things that he
right.
had accomplished, and so in a way we kind of do that, like, hey, I'm a fireman, or people usually, when you introduce yourself, it's like, hey, I'm Helton. Hey, what do you do? I was like, I work for the fire department.
Yeah.
That's normally how we introduce ourselves. That's just the persona that comes first, because I think,
Right.
one, it would be awkward if, like, hi, I'm Helton and I'm a husband and a father of three. If you were like, yeah, dude, like, so am I. Like,
Okay.
they want to know, like, what are your accomplishments, dude? That's a huge
Yeah.
accomplishment. Like, I
Yeah.
have a smoking hot wife who said yes to me. Like, trust me,
Yeah.
that's a huge compliment. I married up, dude. And
Absolutely.
so like it's just awkward for you to say that, right? So you
Hmm.
just say, what do you do? Like I'm a fireman. And over time that just gets ingrained in you. And I was like, yeah, I'm a fireman. So that's what I do.
Hmm.
That's who I am. And over the 10, 15, 20 years, like that's your persona now. And that's all you know how to do. And that's how you introduce yourself. That's what you live every day. For us, like basically a third of our lives is spent at a firehouse. So that's who we're
Hmm.
spending time with all the time. And it just gets ingrained in us. And we forget that, hey, before I'm a fireman, I'm a Christ follower. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm so many more things before I'm a fireman. Because guess
Right.
what? Just remember, that's just a part of your whole life. That's just a
Hmm.
season, right?
Yeah.
What happens after the fire department is over? Are you still a fireman? Like, like there are
Yeah.
people that, like Marines are like, once a Marine, always
Yeah.
a Marine. Like,
Yeah.
and a lot of guys treat the fire service like that as well. Like once a
Yeah.
fireman, always a fireman. Yeah, but like they're gonna log you out of the email system. They're gonna take
Hmm.
your certifications away.
Hmm.
You're not gonna be able to log in anymore. Like you're not a fireman anymore after the day that you let go. So what happens then? Do you cling on to that and try
Hmm.
to no, I'm still a fire. Yes, you're still a firefighter. You still know how to do the job, but man, there's other things. Are you now all of a sudden gonna lose your sense of purpose? Are you going to
Hmm.
lose your identity? And unfortunately, some guys do that. Because
Yeah.
all they know how to do is how to go to work, be good at their
Yeah.
job, and be able to serve people there. Well, you still
Yeah.
have to serve people in your home. You have a wife, you have a children. I mean, if you're older, you have like an older parent that you have to take care of.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Like you have
Hmm.
to be able to take care of those other things. So then you don't lose your sense of purpose and your sense of
Yeah.
identity. If all you know how to do is go to work and run calls, go to work and go to training, teach classes,
Hmm.
do fire department stuff, what happens if you get hurt? What happens if
Exactly.
for some
Yeah.
reason, like you get, God forbid you get fired or something
Yeah.
changes, whatever like you have to have a purpose outside of just the fire service,
Yeah.
And so for me, being a husband is one of them. I got to take care of my
Yeah.
wife. I got to take care of my kids. I got to take care of my brothers and sisters. I'm involved in church. Like there's so many more things outside of the fire service that I do. The fire service is just one of them.
Right.
I believe that I am called to serve God and serve people.
Yeah.
I get to serve God and serve people through the fire service. It's one of them. But guess what? If tomorrow the fire service is not anymore in the picture, I can still serve God and serve people in other ways.
Absolutely.
Whether it's at a soup kitchen, whether it's refereeing at a baseball field or a soccer field
Hmm.
or whatever, man. Like figure out what your purpose is,
Yeah.
and if you get to do what you're called to in the fire service, man, that's a bonus, So
Yeah.
that's why I say that I'm so blessed. That's why I say I love the fire service because I get to do what I believe I'm called to do with my
Hmm.
job. And so that's why I love it. That's why I love the fire department. That's why I love the brotherhood. That's why I love everything I do.
Yeah. No, that rolls right into, you had a quote there. It says, if something doesn't fit your life purpose, just don't do it, which it might be somewhat of an oversimplification, but I mean, you nailed it right there. It's one of those, if your purpose that you found from God is to serve people, like you can do that in your job. You can do that outside of your job. We're, like I said, we're lucky enough that we get to do that as part of our job. And so I think that's huge. I mean, you actually explained that really well. And really, you've got to tap in and see where God's leading you, because like you said, we can get in that mindset of, I got to get all the certs, all this stuff, and that's not always bad. You talk about that later in the book too, like get training and get all that stuff. But if you're trying to find your identity in that, and your purpose is to be the best firefighter out there, if you lose that, you've lost everything. You've lost everything you've worked for. So
I put it in simple terms because I'm a simple person and not a man of many words. And
right.
to oversimplify, sometimes we can be dumb firemen. Like
Yeah,
we have to be told something, the same thing 3 times for us to like
absolutely.
finally like, oh my gosh, I get it. So I was sitting with somebody one time, and there was somebody who was mentoring them, and they said, what do you want to get? So they're going through a hard time,
Hmm.
right? And so he was there being mentored, and he said, what is it that you want to accomplish after this? And this person said, I just want to be a better man.
Mm.
And his mentor's like, wrong, man. You don't want to be a better man. You want to be the man that God has called you to be. So in the same way,
Absolutely.
like if your goal at the end of the day is just to be a better fireman, dude, you can do that by
Hmm.
7:05. Just
Yeah.
pull the hose line and do it better than you did. Go
Yep.
accomplish. Okay, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? You just became a better fireman because you pulled the
Yep.
hose line faster. You matched up faster. You threw the ladder the right way.
Hmm.
Like, good job. You're a better fireman. No, I want to be the fireman that God has called me to be. What is it that I want to do with
Absolutely.
my life? What is my purpose here? And that can be accomplished by obviously being good at your craft. So you need to know how to mask up properly. You need to know how to turn out well. You need to know how to be a good driver, a good officer, a good battalion, like whatever. You be good at your job, okay?
Hmm.
But what's the purpose of that? Is that just so you can gloat about it, or are you going to be able to affect change? Are you going to be
Right.
able to mentor somebody? Are you going to be able to respond better to an emergency? Go work out and be better at your physical fitness? Not what, just so you can feel better about yourself. Yeah, that feels good. I obviously talk about fitness, but like it's also so we can better serve other
Hmm.
people. It's also
Right.
it's better to know that I want to know that I'm physically fit enough to pick up the guy and the girl that is next to me if God forbid something happens. It's not
Yeah.
just so you can be a better fireman. You did one more pull up than yesterday. Good, you're a better fireman. Now, what are you
Hmm.
going to do with that? What are you
Yeah.
going to be able to accomplish with that? Like those are like being a better fireman is such a short goal. Like
Yeah.
don't aim to be a better fireman. Don't
Yeah.
aim to be a better husband, a better father. Be better to fulfill the purpose that God has called you to.
Yeah.
There's a calling. Like I believe that we all
Mm.
have a calling in our lives,
Absolutely.
whether it's here in the fire service, whether it's at home, whether it's at your church, whether it's at the Boys and Girls Club, like
Hmm.
whatever it is. That's why I talk about identity and purpose, man.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, if you want to oversimplify this, like the fire department just pays the bills. Like
Absolutely.
oversimplifying,
Yeah.
that's what it does. It pays the bills. It allows you to live out your calling and your purpose.
Hmm.
And so don't just aim to be better. Be what
Right.
God has called you to be.
Yeah. Yeah. That nails it. It's awesome. All right, man. Getting into some family stuff. So, I've got kids, young kids. It's just natural to put them first. Isn't that what's most important right now?
No, man, the wife always comes first. And if
Yeah.
you read the book, you know that the reason why my kids are here is because I love my wife. You
Absolutely.
know, people say you love kids. No, man, I love my wife, and
Yep.
that's why the kids are here. And so
Absolutely.
you have to put your wife first, man. You have to
Hmm.
put your spouse first. Um, Kids are a byproduct of your marriage. They're not a completion of it.
Right.
So they are what came out of that love for my wife. They they
Hmm.
they are what came out of that relationship with my wife. So if I joke with my kids, I say I can always make more kids. I
Yeah.
can't make a new wife. She is the only one that I have,
Yep.
and it's the only one that I want. I don't want any
Hmm.
more wives. People try to have more spouses than one. I do not recommend.
Nope.
I heard that it's quite pricey,
Yeah.
and it's just going to bring problems, man. Like just my wife is my one and only.
Hmm.
She's the gift that God gave to me. It says in Proverbs, "He who finds a wife finds a good
Finds a good
thing."
thing.
And
Hmm.
man, I was gifted with the most amazing woman in the world. Man, she is the best wife.
I'd
She
have to
wins me
disagree
the.
with you there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
found the best one, but
All right, there you go. We'll agree to disagree. But that's it, man. Like that's
Yeah.
the gift. That's the
Yeah.
blessing that God has given us. Each one of us a perfect a mate. Like
Hmm.
in the beginning, he found Adam a helper. There's a
Hmm.
reason why he pulled a rib from the side.
Yep.
It wasn't from the front. It wasn't from the back. Like my wife is right next to me. We
Hmm.
walk alongside together, and we raise the kids together.
Yeah.
We were blessed with children, man. The most amazing kids that we have, man. We're super blessed, and
Hmm.
but yeah, they come second, man. The wife comes
Yeah.
first. We got Valentine's Day coming up. We're gonna go on a
Hmm.
date. I already told the kids I'm gonna take your mom to a very expensive restaurants, and you guys are not invited because
Absolutely.
we have to keep dating each other. We have to
Hmm.
keep the romance alive, and that's how we do it. It's
Yeah.
by going on dates, being intentional, spending time together. working on our relationship. As I already said, man, I'm not perfect. I'm not, I'm not the God's gift to the most perfect husband. So I just try to be, again. I don't want to be a
Right.
better husband. I want to be the husband that God has called me to be. So every day I try
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
to be a little bit better. And the cool thing that it is also, it's a reminder. Like, your marriage is a mirror to your relationship
Hmm.
with Christ, right? He
Absolutely.
calls us his bride. So,
Hmm.
man, like, so think about this, like, how good is God to us? Like,
Hmm.
so if God is so good and so gracious and so loving towards me, like a broken, a messed up person, how can I be how can I not be that to my wife? I'm going to try to be as
Absolutely.
gracious as I can, as loving as I can. So I'm going to pamper the heck out of my wife this weekend and
Hmm.
buy her a nice dinner.
Hmm.
Um, put a shirt with a button,
Yep.
um, and try to look nice, and just spend some time
Absolutely.
with her and leave
Yeah,
the
I mean
kids
that's
at
a
home.
big thing. Yeah, it's huge, and it's one of those things. Me and my wife are lucky enough we get to help with the marriage ministry at our church, and I tell people all the time. I said, our marriage is a lot like our relationship with Christ. So if we're not working towards Christ, we're only working away. There's no middle ground. There's no staying settled, and it's the same way with our wife. If we're not working towards our wife's heart, we're just working away from it. That's the reality. There's no middle ground. There's no just staying constant. Like it just doesn't work like that. It's either you're going forward or you're going back.
Yeah, we talk a lot about falling out of love, right?
Hmm.
Man, I don't love her anymore. Or the same thing, we can parallel with the fire service too. And,
Yeah.
and that was, to me, that was like actually one of the things that woke me up to be in love with the job again.
Hmm.
Like, man, I just had falling out of love with her. What do you mean
Yeah.
you fell? Like, did you ever fall in love with her,
Yeah.
or was it the fact that you were pursuing her? You were
Right.
texting her all the time, like, hey, do you want
Hmm.
to go out? Hey, how about dinner and a movie? Like,
Absolutely.
you didn't like stumble into like and fall in love with
Yep.
her. You are pursuing her. You're
Yeah.
wooing her. You're dating her, and that's the same thing that we have
Hmm.
to do with the fire service. Like, what do you mean you fell out of love with the job? Like, are you going? Are you pursuing the job? Are you going out and taking classes? Are you
Right.
going out and being better at your craft? Are you mentoring somebody? Are you, dating the fire service like you did? Like,
Right.
remember when you're applying for how many departments did you apply
Hmm.
to? Was it just one and done? Like, yeah,
No.
this is the one I want.
Some people, but
No, like, yeah, some people, like sometimes you're
yeah.
you're blessed enough and lucky enough
Yeah.
to do that.
But
And that
most
was kind of
times
like
not.
my yeah, like, no, man, I'm trying. I'm taking class. I'm
Hmm.
taking certs. I'm getting my certifications before I
Hmm.
apply. I'm getting resumes, and so you have to do that with the fire service, like your marriage. And
Hmm.
again, that's why you put the first things first, because if you do really well with your marriage relationship, you're gonna do so well with your fire department
Hmm.
relationship, because
Yeah.
your marriage produces children,
Yep.
and one day you're going to become an officer in the fire service, and you're going to have children under you.
Yep.
Like, if you're an officer, like, you're the guys and girls that work for you, sometimes they act like children, like,
Yep.
quite literally sometimes, like, man, hey, quiet down. This is serious time. Remember, like,
Yep.
we are inside his house, we're running a call. And then, obviously when you get on the rig, you can be goofy and
Right.
goof off. But you're also going to have those serious conversations
Hmm.
at the firehouse. You're going to have to, like, pull somebody into the office. You're going to have to have a talk on the tailboard. And so,
Hmm.
again, if you're a good husband, a good wife, a good parent at home, it's just going to translate so well into the fire
Yeah.
service.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. One of the things we like to talk about too is, divorce is such an easy thing these days. So it's just a byproduct, especially in our career, I would say. I read some stats that said it wasn't as high as they thought, the divorce rates, but they included some cohabitation with that. So that was a little disclaimer that I was like, that's an interesting thought. But so one of the things we joke about is like, okay, so if you get divorced, what are you going to do? Are you going to date again? And most people are like, yeah. It's like, so what are you going to do? They're like, oh, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get a haircut. I'm going to shave. It's like, why aren't you doing that now with your wife? Maybe things would be a little bit better, or your husband. It's like, start doing that now, And so it's like you said, dating your job too. Like, work out now, do stuff for that now, instead of saying, I'm just gonna quit on this. Do what you would do when you were starting it up. Date your wife, date your job. That's awesome.
It's the concept that we sometimes, as I said, man, I'm a man of few words,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't understand the difference of commitment versus devotion.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're committed to something, say, hey, man, I'm committed. I'm going to be here. I'm going to do that every day. I'm going to show up. I'm going to give my best. And you're in a committed, a lot of times we're in a committed relationship,
Yeah.
right? So you can have a committed relationship with your spouse. You can have a committed relationship with a job. Being devoted to it is a whole nother level. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing again. Those two things parallel also your relationship with God. So like, how devoted are you into your marriage? How devoted are you into your relationship with God? How devoted are you with your relationship with the fire service? If you're just committed and you show up every day, you do what you're supposed to do, you check the boxes, and you go home, everything is fine. What happens when you don't feel like it? What
Mm-hmm.
happens when you don't feel like the commitment is there anymore? And in the same way, it's not a transaction. We treat
Right.
marriage, we treat the fire service a lot like a contract, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not a contract; it's a covenant.
Right.
It's contract versus covenant. It's devotion versus commitment. When you have a covenant, when you it's that's when like divorce does not exist in my
Right.
vocabulary. I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
divorced from my wife. And even though I felt like at times I don't want to be divorced from the fire service,
Right.
I truly love what I do. I am not only committed, I'm devoted to both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give my best to my wife. I'm going to give my best to the fire service,
Mm-hmm.
obviously at different times, and making sure that I have my priorities in the right place. So when you're devoted, man, you're all in. Like there's no like I'm burning the boats.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
there's no going back. I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for the long haul. My wife and I were just having this conversation earlier today. Like there's, like she's like, we're obviously going to be married forever. And I was like, heck yeah, we are, because there's no going back, man. Like
Yeah.
we have burned the boats. And when the issue is when we have the opportunity to look back, when we have the opportunity to look at other things and consider other things, like you're like, oh yeah, maybe the grass is greener,
Mm-hmm.
on another department. Maybe the grass is greener on another relationship. No, man, work on this relationship right here. Be
Mm-hmm.
devoted to it, not just committed.
Yeah.
It's again the same thing. It's the difference between being being motivated and being disciplined. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you don't feel like it. The Bible talks
Yeah.
about your heart being deceitful. Like
Yep.
there's so many things I don't feel like doing, but if you don't feel like it, well, make you feel like it, like
Yeah.
work at it,
Mm-hmm.
be into it, be into the job, work out, go to
Mm-hmm.
classes, invite your wife for a date. Oh, I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
like talking to her. Yeah, there are many times I don't feel like talking to my wife, man. Like
Right.
we're humans, we're not perfect, but you have to force yourself.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that I talk about in the book too is choices lead, feelings follow.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of time that we don't feel like doing things and we have to
Yeah.
force ourselves to do things. The more we want to, the more we do these hard things, the more we want to do them.
Yeah.
As you choose to do something, the feelings will fall afterwards. i
Yeah.
don't i don't feel like working out right now.
Yeah.
I have to go run a 5K after
Mm-hmm.
we're done with this. Trust me, I do not want to run today. I got to do interval training. I'm trying to get my mile time down and I don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
But I do it, and as soon as I'm finished with my workout, I'm feeling good. So
Yeah.
if you choose to do those hard things, if you choose to do the things that you don't want to do, eventually the feelings are going to follow, and you're going to feel better about it. It's going to be better.
Yeah. Yeah, and that leads right into it. I mean, just I think if your marriage between your wife is healthy, your kids are going to see that, and it's going to trickle down. Just like you said, I like what you said. One of the things that stuck out to me. So being in the fire service, we do get a lot of time at home, and so it's easy to fall into that trap. Realize that you don't have to be physically absent from your kids to be an absent parent. That one hit me pretty hard because I think with my first daughter, I was like, I'm physically here a lot, but I wasn't mentally there. And I think that is just, it was a good distinction. I really do. Because we do have more time off than most people if we're not, just doing all the overtime and stuff like that. We have a great chance to be with our kids, but we need to be intentional with that time.
Yeah, man. I think that I have been absent from even this podcast already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got 1,000 things to do after this. I'm like, okay, I gotta finish the laundry and I gotta work out and I gotta, pay this bill and do that. Like, it's just the things are constantly running through
Mm-hmm.
our heads right? The things that we got to do. And when we're with our kids is the same thing. And one of the, obviously the most terrible things that pulls our attention away is our phone,
Yeah.
and if, I mean, we give our kids toy phones nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
like, so it's just ingrained in our culture. It's ingrained
Yep.
in what we do. Like, we're teaching them distraction.
Yep.
So we have tried, like the cell phone basket in the house, where
Mm-hmm.
we put the cell phone in a basket and it doesn't come out unless we're leaving the house. We're not great at it. We're not perfect, but we try. You
Yeah.
know, we do that with our wives all the time.
Yeah.
When she's talking to us, and it happened the other day. She's like, "Hey, I've called your name like 5 times. Like, are you paying attention?" you know, and I'm always like, "Are you listening to me?" It's a weird way to start, that she starts conversations like that, but it's true, man. We're distracted,
Mm-hmm.
and with our kids, man, especially when they're little, we're just like, we take the play toy and we just toss it, and they chase it, and we have 3 minutes of freedom until they come back. And
Mm-hmm.
so just that translates until they're older too. I notice myself doing that, with my daughter now. She's 13 going on 14,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have to stay at the soccer practice anymore, man. I can drop her
Yeah.
off and go run errands, and it's like, oh, I got a free hour that I can just run errands. And I noticed myself doing that last season. I was like, no, man, like, she doesn't have that many soccer practices left for me to be doing that.
Right.
Like, I need to be there at the soccer practice with her,
Mm-hmm.
sitting on the field, watching her, cheering her on. Um, because, and this is something that as like we do as human beings, right? We only see the successes. We only
Mm-hmm.
see the good times, and people are like, oh man, like, this person, all of a sudden they are like, they just came out of nowhere. No,
Yeah.
dude, they have been practicing for years and years and years now. How am I going to tell my daughter, like, hey, I you're very successful now, but I wasn't there for the times that you were practicing. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just talking about soccer practice, but put that in a bigger perspective. Like,
Yeah.
were you present with your kid in when they're practicing? Were you present with your
Mm-hmm.
kids when they're growing up? Were you present with your kids when they're in the grind? And again, the
Yeah.
same thing with your spouse. Were you present, throughout the mundane, the things that they were doing every day, or is it just, on the when the spotlight is on them, or when something, for some unfortunate reason, is the spotlights shined on something that they're going through. So we have to be present, man. Put
Yeah.
the phone down. Try to be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, not the best, but listen with the intent of listening,
Mm-hmm.
not with the intent of responding. I
Right.
think that I am very good at that with my wife. I'm not very good at that with my children, because I'm the parent and I know best,
Mm-hmm.
right? Again, my
Absolutely.
wife and I were just talking about that earlier, man. Like, she said, "Hey, listen, your tone with the kids is a different tone. You have to understand. Like, you can have that tone with me because I'm an adult and I'm your wife and I've lived with
Mm-hmm.
you for, you know 20 years. I get it. I understand. But this 10-year-old doesn't get what you're trying to say. They just see that authoritative tone of voice, and it's crushing.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to connect before I correct. It is one of the
Yeah.
things that again, I'm not very good at it. Just from being a man. I
Yeah.
want my respect. You have to respect me first.
Mm-hmm.
Kids don't know that. They're
Yeah.
kids, and so they don't know. I mean, sometimes they can be jerks, but they don't know that you want the respect first. So,
Right.
I a lot of times I end up being short, or
Yeah.
not responding to them in the more loving and caring way. And man, she was telling me it goes a long way. Like, you don't think about it, but these are their core memories.
Yeah.
That you're
They are.
creating a core memory. And man, I'm even embarrassed to say this, but if I reprimand my kids, the first things that happens is tears roll down their eyes, and it's because
Mm-hmm.
in the past I have been very hard on them,
Yeah.
and because there was a lot more correction, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to fix that. And so if I
Mm-hmm.
see them doing something wrong now, it's the first thing is not like, I'm going to go rush and yell at them for something. I'm like, hey, I
Right.
see that you're doing something in a certain way. Is there
Mm-hmm.
a different way that we could do it? Or maybe ask them, like, hey, why are you doing this? Like
Mm-hmm.
what are you trying to get accomplished, instead of, hey, that you should be doing A, B, C, and D. That way I can understand their perspective. And again,
Mm-hmm.
this translates so well to the fire service, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, every kid that's coming out of recruit school right now wants to know why.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Like, why am I pulling
Mm-hmm.
the hose line this way? Why am I throwing the ladder on this side of the building versus the other side of the building? Why is the first floor more important than the second floor? Or why is the alpha side more important than the Charlie side? Like, why am I doing this? And
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to be that person that says, because I told you so, okay, well, they learn nothing. They have
Right.
no idea. So now they're just going to do it because you said
Yeah.
something. And the next time that they have to, for some reason, operate on their own and make a decision on their own, they're not going to know how to do it.
Right.
They're gonna have analysis paralysis, because, like, man,
Mm-hmm.
my officer's not here, or Tanner's not here to tell me what to do. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like, I don't want to do
Yeah.
anything
No
wrong.
critical thinking.
So I'm just not going to do it. And
Right.
so, again, man, it translates so well. Connection before correction, man. It's something
Yeah.
so important for us to know how to do with our kids.
Yeah. Well, and kids are honest. They're not very good at lying. And so a lot of times it's funny. You'll spend all this time doing like a family trip or something, and, take them on a cruise or take them to Disney World, and you ask them what their favorite part was. And they'll say, it's like, oh, it's the time you were jumping on the bed with me. And you're like, what? We could have done that at the house. But that's the
Thousands
reality.
of dollars, man.
Yeah. They just want your
sure,
time, man. That's all it is. They just want your time. So there's a lot more stuff in that section, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to move on to the fitness. I thought, so obviously fitness is a big part of our job. I mean, we see it all over TikTok, the firefighters that are doing all the fancy stuff, or, their shirtless workouts. I am not one of those guys. But I did find it interesting. Yeah, getting there. But no, I did find it interesting, though. The sleep section on that is really important. And I think that's something that we're coming to fruition, I guess, with a lot of the studies, is like really just how important sleep is. So I thought it was cool that you want to hit on that a little bit.
Yeah, sleep is one of the foundations for a lot, man. It's one of the foundations. If it wasn't, sleep could probably be not so much like in front of all those things, but
Mm-hmm.
probably like the base of a lot of that. When you're well rested, obviously you're not
Mm-hmm.
only feeling better physically, but you have more mental clarity. You
Yep.
are at the right place. Spiritually, man, it
Yep.
just, again, going back to the conversation that we had earlier about Sabbath and rest,
Mm-hmm.
we need to rest not from work, but also for work. But when
Yeah.
we're talking about physically specifically, rest is so important
Mm-hmm.
first of all, for our physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't catch up on your sleep. So if you don't believe me, read a book called Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew
Yep.
Walker. He's a super sleep nerd, to put it in layman's term. A very a well-spoken doctor. Go listen to his podcast with him and Dr. Huberman. Man, sleep is so. It's a very basic necessity for our body, and but not just our body, man, our mind.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that, for us specifically as first responders, is how we kind of like work out our
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and the things that we see, our stresses.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge helper in helping us cope with depression, anxiety. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times when people are depressed, they have anxiety or suicidal ideations. They are insomniacs. They have
Mm-hmm.
trouble falling asleep. So if you want to fix all those secondary issues that you have in your life,
Mm-hmm.
sleep, man. Sleep is so
Yeah.
important. It's obviously going to help you feel better, so you can be more
Yeah.
more disciplined and dedicated to work out. And again, it's kind of like, think back about the red light thing that I was talking about. Like, if you don't sleep, you're not going to do any of the other stuff well, because you're going to be
Yeah.
obviously physically and emotionally tired. You're going to be more irritable. You're going to be short
Mm-hmm.
with your spouse. You're going to be short with the kids. And man, sleep is like the building block of a lot of the stresses that we deal with. So if
Yeah.
you get your sleep right, a lot of that other stuff is going to work itself out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I talked about that. Some of the people are familiar with my testimony. I mean, one of the things was I wasn't getting a lot of good sleep. My fitness was taking a back seat, and that's something that's changed a lot just through different things. Even your book talking about. So, I've been trying the past year or two, trying to get a little bit healthier, make changes that make a difference, not just do the quick change. So, that's the other bad thing. I think we see a lot of this, the Ozempic and all that stuff, which I'm not saying they're terrible, but it's the easy route. I mean, it is, and it can be good. But I know that for me, that's not the best route because that's not going to teach me anything. So it's one of those trying to make the slow decisions the right way. And sleep has been a huge part of that. And so it's like prioritizing instead of going to bed at midnight before my shift. Like, hey, I need to be winding down about 9 o'clock and get in because I'm going to get up early. And then that way at shift, I'm not dragging already. And then I can do my workout and all that stuff in between calls, things like that. And it's really just about getting out there, but you've got to start with something. And so for me, sleep was a big start for that journey. And it's like you can make better choices. Your brain's not so tired. I mean, that's one of the things in the fire service. We wake up in the middle of the night, and that's why a lot of times we have bad eating habits and things like that. It's just our call volume. It's like, of course, when we're going to cook the healthy dinner, it seems like we don't have the time to cook or, things like that. And so it's easy to grab those instant gratifications. So if we can get a little bit of sleep, I think it'll kickstart a lot of that. And then just making the choices, like you said, it's making choices now that are going to affect the future. And that's one of the things we got to do. We just got to start putting fitness on that route and looking at all tenets of it, which is what I like too. It's not just a lot of people when they think of their fitness journeys, the first thing is like, I'm going to get swole, or especially as firefighters, like we forget, we kind of neglect that cardio and we're like, oh, I can get in the gym and do all that. And it's like, well, cardio is probably going to be the most important part of that, but also sleep. And then you talk about mental and spiritual fitness. So with the mental fitness, I think we're seeing that come to head right now. I think we're in a very special time in the fire service where that's being backed, I would say, from like an administrative standpoint, but the practicality is still a little bit, I don't know, underdeveloped, I'll say. What are your thoughts with that?
I think that a lot of departments are doing really, really good things, man. We have people writing about it. Have Chief Deanna Alley. She talks about it in her book, Hope Out of Darkness. I have my friend Jeremy Sanders, who has a great presentation on the effects of not only PTSD but also moral injury.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding the difference of how it affects different people. People know that there's more than just employee assistance programs, right? The
Right.
stuff that the department offers you. There
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of programs that are focusing on first responder health and wellness. There are conferences going up everywhere that are
Mm-hmm.
talking about it. I think that the biggest thing that is helping is one, we're willing to talk about it, right?
Right.
You and I are
Right.
here talking about the importance of mental health. Nobody's telling you
Mm-hmm.
sit down, shut up, and press it down like
Yeah.
for many years. I'm again blessed that was not my experience in the fire service, but that was a lot
Right.
of people's experience in the fire service. It was just like, shut up. We don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about that. You deal with it. Leave work at work. Leave home at home. And so I think that that's the number one. I think it is
Yeah.
at a really good place. I
Yeah.
think that in my tenure in the fire service, mental health has always been a component that people talk about.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot more talked about in a department fashion. I think more fire departments are accepting of it,
Yeah.
are trying to give those resources for their firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
But even, man, just outside too. I think that's the other beautiful thing. You have organizations like Mighty Oaks. You have
Mm-hmm.
organizations like Next Rung. You
Absolutely.
have
Yeah.
the IAFF, who has resiliency
Mm-hmm.
centers. So even though your own fire department may not have those programs,
Yeah.
there's somebody right down the road
Yeah.
that can help you out with that.
Yeah.
And again, more importantly, is you have your brothers and sisters who you can
Right.
text and call, man, and they're probably going to know somebody who knows somebody that they can call and help you out.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of did a bash to admin there, but in their own defense too, it's one of those. It's just like when administration does like a required training, like no one's really bought in. So it's the same way with the mental health stuff. So exactly what you said. It's one of those. For one, just talking about it between the guys, because like I say, if it comes from admin, there's always this fear that it's going to come back and bite us somehow, or it's like they're just telling me that I need help and I'm not there. It's like to some degree, like you have to decide to make that choice for yourself. So that's where guys like me and you, or these people having conferences for that, like having the conversation is going to be the biggest leap forward. And so, like I say, yeah, I don't mean to bash admin from that sense. It's really just kind of one of those, if they do it, then they're wrong, but if they don't, they're wrong as well. So I don't mean it in a bad sense, but yeah, it really is. It's about just us talking about it more. And I do think they're coming around to that with a lot more support, which is good. So that's why I say I think it's a really special time right now. And just to wrap that up in there, I like how you talk about just with all these tenets. So your physical, mental, and spiritual fitness, that you can't really pick and choose. You've got to make them all and bring them all together to be well rounded. Otherwise, you're going to have one aspect that's weak, and it's not going to work out like you think. So
Yeah, you can't just you can't skip a leg day at the gym. If you skip leg
exactly.
day at the gym, you're gonna look like that weird guy that we see in all the cartoons and the TikToks and the memes. You have to put it all together, man. You have
Mm-hmm.
to take care of your physical body. You got to take care of your mind, and you got to take care of your spirit. And I already shared
Yep.
a lot about it, how you take care of your
Mm-hmm.
spirit with spending one-on-one time with God, spending time with your family, and that's gonna fill your cup. Really, you can't
Yeah.
pour out from an empty cup, so you have to
Right.
fill your cup up with different ways. Just like some people drink black coffee, some people drink with a splash of milk, some people put some creamer on
Mm-hmm.
there. However it is that you're going to fill up your cup, you have to put all those different parts to make sure that you're completely full and able to pour out into others.
Yeah. That kind of rolls into the firefighting. So I like you're kind of, if I could summarize that section, it was really about investing in the people around you. At least that's what I got. I'm sure someone else could read something and get something else out of it as well. But I like one of the quotes. I've always heard the grass is greener on the other side, but you came and you put, but the water bill is higher. Ooh, can't talk, but I had never heard that second part, and I just laughed because that's been my journey. A lot of times I'm like, man, I could just go to this other place and it would be all better. And like you said, you go through that kind of phase in your career where everything looks better, but you're not willing to put the work in here. And that's where I was at, man. And so I don't know, I thought that was awesome. And I really think biblically it talks about this. So I have a quote from First Peter. It's chapter 4, verses 10 and 11. It says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. It says, don't be slothful in zeal, but fervent in spirit, and serve the Lord. And I think, like I said, that sums it up well, just kind of like where I think you're getting your synopsis from of it is like, if we're serving others and we're investing in our department and the people around us, it's going to really invigorate that desire to have the job again. I really do. I mean, what do you got to add to that?
I'll give a really, really practical example of this. If you've anybody's ever read Jocko's book, he gives an example about the boat teams. They're at the beach,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this one boat that is winning all the races. Man, they have a good crew, they have a good leader, and they're just crushing everybody. They're the first ones out, the first ones back in. At one point, he says, I'm going to change the leaders. So the leader of the best boat is going to go to the worst boat, and the leader of the worst boat is going to come to the best boat. And so when they traded those leaders, the worst boat all of a sudden starts winning. They're getting better, and eventually they start winning races. And that the best boat now is losing. They're falling behind. And why is that? It's because of the attitude of that person in charge of
Yep.
that boat. So if you think, man, the grass is greener over there, I'm going to go there and I'm going to crush it.
Yeah.
Well, the water bill is high, man, because have been watering that grass for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the grass doesn't get green by itself. One of the reasons why I use that is because I used to do lawn care for a long
Yeah.
time. So I know what it takes for you to have a green grass. You can't just cut the grass every week and leave the grass clippings. Yes, that is part of it, but are you watering it?
Yep.
Are you putting fertilizer down? Do you know the pH of your soil? Do you have to put lime down, or do you not have to put lime down? Here in Virginia, we have to put lime down in our soil because it's a very the pH is not the right pH by itself. So, what are you doing to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that your soil is the right soil so the seeds can germinate and grow a strong, plush green lawn? If
Mm-hmm.
you're just going to say, yeah, the sun and the rain is enough, you're going to brown out that patch of grass pretty quickly. And guess what?
Absolutely.
Once you come out and you start putting brown patches on that green grass, they're going to put a big old do not step on the lawn sign right next to you, and you're going to get kicked out.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you're like a new person in a team, you're either going to elevate that team or you're going to bring that team down.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to go into a new environment, if you're going to go to where the grass is greener, are you going to step up to the level of that
Mm-hmm.
team, or are you going to bring that team down?
Yeah.
Which boat team leader are you going to be? Are you going to be
Mm-hmm.
the boat team leader that starts making changes and winning races, or are you going to be that team leader that's going to be dragging the team down? That
Mm-hmm.
the option is yours, but you have
Absolutely.
to realize that the grass is greener, but the water bill is high. You're going to have to put in the work.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's awesome, man. And then just to round it all out, I mean, we've already talked about it a little bit, but finances, I think what was really good about this, a lot of times when you read a lot of these faith books, is it's you've got to walk a fine line between the gospel and the prosperity gospel, which if you know the difference, it's not a fine line, but if you don't, it can be. And so I like one of the quotes you said was, God's not a slot machine to put money in and get a prize at the end. It's about the posture of your heart and the intent behind the act of tithing. This is talking about tithing specifically, but it's about giving God back what I believe is ultimately his. So, I mean, I think that's a good mindset in general behind finances, is just realizing that it's not yours, but then also tying that into faith is, like I said, it's not that I'm giving this to God, or if I'm a Christian and I'm doing all this stuff right, then I'm just going to get blessing upon blessing. It's really about a posture thing. And so I just appreciated that there was a clear delineation behind that, because not many people are willing to have that talk. I think it's, like I said, it's a hard talk to have because you're trying to like get people on your team, like you say. So it's like you want to make it sound really good, but that's doing them a disservice, really, is what it's doing. So.
Yeah, it's about faith and not works.
Mm-hmm.
What the reason why I am tithing, the reason why I'm putting the first things first, the reason why I do the things I do the way I do it, it's not so God can bless me and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
like God, here's who I am, here's all the cool things that I'm doing, here's all the awesome things that I'm putting forth. So now go ahead and bless me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, no, it's not that. It's by it's because of faith through grace,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, by grace through faith, like
Yeah.
God was gracious enough to give me all these things, and it's because I believed in him.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's my finances, whether it's my marriage, whether it's my job, I'm just blessed to have everything I have.
Mm-hmm.
My pastor says something that if God doesn't do anything else for me, I'm already blessed enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing: God is so great and so gracious that He's still going to bless me more. Not
Absolutely.
because of anything that I'm doing, not because of anything I deserve, but that's just because He's a good God, man. God
Yeah.
is, He's a very gracious God, and again, it's not prosperity gospel. It's not like I'm happy, everything is fine and dandy. It says in the Bible, in this world you will have
Mm-hmm.
troubles, but
Yep.
fear not, I have overcome the world. So I share these things on the book. I share my struggles on the book, not because I have a blessed life, a wife, a beautiful wife, and the perfect kids. No, man, like short of that, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm broken, my wife's broken, my kids are broken, like we're all broken, but if it wasn't for the grace and goodness of God, we wouldn't be able to have what we have. So I just share those things, not because I think, hey, if you do these things right, God is going to bless you and everything's going to be fine and dandy. No, man, there's going to be really hard things, and
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be really unfortunately bad things that happen. But again, like I said in the beginning, I am lucky enough and blessed enough that I had those boundaries. I had
Hmm.
those fences that I put up. I put the right things in the right order.
Yep.
So when the waves come, so when the storm comes, I am ready.
Hmm.
Like there's a reason why if the storm is coming, people put sandbags right up
Hmm.
so your basement doesn't flood. Or there's a reason why people board their windows down in Florida and the Keys. Guess what? If the storm comes, these things are going to stop at least a little bit. Hopefully, it stop the
Hmm.
storm, stop from creating all this destruction. the
Hmm.
The hurricane's still coming. Like there's no, it's coming. So it all depends on like how are you going to protect yourself.
Right.
What things are you going to put in place in your life so when the storm does come, so when
Right.
the hard time does come, are you going to be able to stand or not? You know, God calls us to build our house upon a rock and
Hmm.
not on sand, because the rock is the foundation. It's something solid that our house can withstand, and that's
Yep.
what I have done. I have built my house on a rock, with my faith, with my family, with my fitness, and with my job in the fire service.
Hmm.
And so when the hard things of that life, unfortunately gives us, comes, I'm able to withstand that. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect. I'm going to be battered and bruised, but at
Hmm.
least I'm gonna be able to, hopefully walk away from it. So
Yeah.
that's what the first things first is all about, man.
Yeah.
That's what I like to share with people. Um, Not perfect. I'm just blessed. And one thing that I learned this past weekend, I'm just a nobody trying to tell somebody about the one buddy who wants the
Absolutely.
best for everybody, man. If you don't know who Joby Martin is, go listen
Yep.
to that man. He's a pastor down in Florida. Um, that's it, man. That's what it's all about. It's just about sharing a little bit of what God did for me, what He does every day, and what He continues to do. And hopefully this conversation blesses somebody. Um, and yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it, man. I appreciate you taking the time. And like I said, for you guys that are out there listening, like I'd encourage you to go get the book. There's so much more in it. I mean, we could talk about it for hours. But yeah, man, just as a closeout, for one, how can people be praying for the ministry? And then two, after that, how can they reach you? So like socials, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, just pray that God keeps allowing me to have these conversations like we're having here.
Mhm.
Tanner, I think it's awesome to be able to encourage one another. I mean, I think that hopefully more than anything, we're able to encourage one another to keep doing what we're doing.
Absolutely.
People can actually pray for me, my wife, my kids, that God continues to bless us. Um, and specifically one of the things that I am praying for right now is the First Things First conference.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yeah.
in October, we're having a conference where more conversations like this are going to be had. Some people are going to come out and share some of the things that God
Mm-hmm.
have done in their life and share their testimony. And as I said, man, it's just going to be a place that we are going to be fired up, excited, and be spiritually fed. Hopefully, have some rest so we
Mm-hmm.
can be fired up and feeling good so we can go back to our home, go back to our fire department and share this excitement for the fire service, share the excitement for the job, and just encourage each other. So pull out your calendars, pull your phone out,
Mm-hmm.
mark October 23rd and 24th, right up here in Virginia. There are going to be some good names. I'm not going to say them yet. Some good people that are going to be coming out. Man, I'm so excited. Hopefully, I get to see you or see some of your
Mm-hmm.
friends up here. I know it's a long track from Texas, but yeah, man, I'm just excited. So be praying for that God can bless
Absolutely.
that, and you can find me on social media at the First Things First. You can also email me at the First Things First show at gmail.com. um, just reach out, man. I'm happy
Yeah.
to chat up, with anybody, as just like we found each other on social
Mm-hmm.
media. Send me a message, um, text me, call me, whatever, man. I'm down to
Yeah.
have these conversations with people. So I'm just excited to see what God is going to be doing with you and your life and the dad shift. I hope that this can blow up and People be knocking at your doors to come. One day I'm going to be able to say, hey, I was in the Dad Shift podcast back in the day
Absolutely.
when he was a nobody and nobody knew him. But now, you'll be blowing up, and people are going to be. And again, it's not for our glory
Right.
or for us to be known, but really just to bless other people and get the word out there about, not just being better dads, not just being better firefighters, but being in the fathers and the firefighters that God has called us to be. That's what it's all about.
Sweet, man. Will you mind close us out in prayer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Got it.
Okay. Dear God, thank you so much for my brother Tanner for inviting me to be a guest here, Lord. Not just so I can talk about myself, not that I can talk about the book, Lord, but ultimately to just hopefully share these stories, share these conversations, that it can be impactful and it can be life-changing to somebody, so they can hopefully, Lord, not just fall in love with the fire service, Lord, but also put the right things in the right order in their lives, Lord, so they can fall in love with you, so they can get to know you more, so they can be the men and women who you call them to be. I pray that their life can be blessed. I hope that their fire department can be blessed. I hope that they can come to know you more, Lord, and have a relationship with you. And Lord, I pray a blessing over my brother Tanner and his family. And I pray for everybody listening in. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen, man. Well, I appreciate it again. And I'll let you get out of here, but we'll see you guys next shift. Thank you so much.